get some big player news, like I mentioned. Tampa Bay traded veteran defenseman Ryan McDonagh to Nashville for defenseman Philip Myers and minor leaguer Grant Mismash. The Athletic reported it was a, quote, bit of a shock to McDonagh, and it left him with his head spinning. Alex Colon said it was very hard to see him go. The 33-year-old has 4 years left at $6.75 million. It was obviously a salary dumped by Tampa, who always seems to have to do this every year. Tampa Bay will not be buying out Phil Myers like a lot of people speculated. McDonagh, of course, won 2 cups. He's third all-time, 2 cups with Tampa, third all-time in playoff games with Tampa D-men with 89. Myers had 4 points in 27 games last year. He's only 25. He's got 1 year left at $2.55 million. Then will be restricted free agent. And Mismash was a second-round pick of the 2017 draft, spent last season in AHL Milwaukee. He's in the last year of his ELC. Let's go to you first on this one. No surprise, I guess, that he got traded. I mean, obviously to him, but what do you make of this one, brother?
Yeah, you say no surprise, and I guess people knew that there was a chance of this happening. But for me, if I'm a Tampa fan or one of the guys in that team, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow. And it's not to say that didn't have to happen with the situation they're in with being up against the cap and having to re-sign certain guys. But that guy was completely a part of changing everything there. I mean, I look back and people thought like, wow, he's kind of on the back nine when the Rangers traded him maybe. Without him, no chance they win those 2 cups. And I think for him or the news to come out that he was shocked and kind of like, holy shit, that makes me just kind of feel for him a little bit, because he did every single thing that he was asked to do there. His teammates loved him, and that's the business, dude. Boom, it's done. So I feel that that's probably just a summer for him now, where he's just trying to think about, how am I going to get like fired up and ready to play with a new team? It's just hard, I think, for a little while. So I'm not shocked, but I did feel bad for him.
I tended to not feel as bad when he went to another team with no state tax. That really popped out, obviously, right off the hop. No, but hey, I was talking about Orps earlier and just his professionalism and what he provided to the locker room. And McDonagh, when he went over to Tampa, like he was that guy beforehand, but obviously helped them solidify those cups, helped grow Cernak's game and some other young defensemen there, because he can, he's a guy where those guys can, go talk to him and he can mentor them. Along with that, with not only sacrificing his body, but playing top level hockey as long as he's been in Tampa. And I would consider him probably their second best defenseman other than Hedman. And some people, considering all situations, would put him pretty much close to neck and neck. And I was shocked to hear the news, but the news did come out before he was actually traded. And I think everybody saw that roll out and was like, what? And then to see it happen as quickly as it did, that's what was shocking to me. Now, I'm really happy for him in the fact that he's going to a very solid team with a very good goaltender. Yossi needed a little bit of help having another guy underneath him. And obviously McDonagh's used to playing that second guy role. So going over there, I'm sure he's going to be happy. And you mentioned like, it's going to be a summer of him trying to put the pieces together and like trying to get fired up. I think once he gets to training camp and he meets all those unbelievable guys in that awesome organization and he gets to live in Nashville, he'll forget about it fairly quickly. But as far as the Tampa organization, it's hard for me to question Brisebois and what he's seeing. I think that he probably thinks that Cernak and Foote and some of these younger defensemen, given their low cap hits, can fill in that role. And I'm not saying it's going to be one guy doing it, but maybe collectively between 2-3 guys can maybe provide what McDonagh did. And, sometimes some of these GMs are trying to predict the downturn of when maybe guys start slowing down a little bit, evaluate that based on the cap hit. So that probably has to be the hardest decision that Brisebois has had to make since being a GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially considering a guy who was a key component to bring you all that success in 2 cups. But this, to me, is the beauty of the new National Hockey League. The fact that you have to constantly be making moves in order to stay underneath that hard cap. Some people, Alan Walsh has probably just spiked his laptop or his phone listening to that. But RA and Merles, would you guys not agree that now now you get all this excitement from even the regular season. Then, of course, NHL playoffs, it's second to none. And then the minute the season ends, all of a sudden, all this crazy shit has to happen so teams can rebolster, get under the cap, and get ready for next year. And you're seeing these unbelievable players in new markets. And I think that that's going to help grow the game. So I know I've been long-winded about this. Congrats to McDonagh on an unreal stint in Tampa. It sucks that he's got to leave. I know those guys in the locker room are going to miss him deeply because of what he brings on and off the ice. But good luck to him in Nashville. And look out, man. Nashville, sneaky banger.
The speculation is obviously some of that money is going to go toward Andre Palat's new deal. He was coming off a 5-year, $26.5 million deal, 5.3 a year. The way he performed in the playoffs, you got to assume he's going to be getting a nice little raise there. And also Tampa signed Nick Paul, guy they picked up at the trade deadline, signed Nick Paul to a 7-year, $20 million extension with the $3.15 million cap hit. He's got a no-trade clause for the first 4 years, a modified no-trade for the last 3. The 27-year-old had 16 goals and 16 assists in 80 games split with Ottawa and Tampa last year. Of course, in the playoffs, he had 5 goals, 4 assists in 23 games. And Tampa's so good at finding these middle six guys at the deadline. They can grind, they can score, they can do all those, utility things that a coach likes to see them get done. And I mean, he carved himself out a nice little deal that'll set him up pretty well here, Biz.
I was just going to go quickly back to Myers. You've seen what they've done with other defensemen in the organization. I'm pretty sure they can figure out a way to make him very useful. So that being a good add with getting rid of McDonagh. In the nature of the business, like all of a sudden you have one guy on their first cup run in the bubble. Palat was probably the what's the term I'm looking for? Probably their most valuable player outside of the obvious guys. I want to say he had 11 goals in that playoff. And then you see what he does these playoffs as well. So of course you got to end up getting rid of one piece in order to secure another. I think that that's probably the right mindset and trying to lock him down. Going over to Nick Paul, the only criticism I've seen online where maybe some of his underlying analytics numbers, like I give 2 fucks about that. Did you watch playoffs? Every time in the midst of a series where there was a few big plays that needed to be made, it just seemed like it was him making it. He fit in there like a glove. He was the one who rose to the occasion in Game 7 against the Leafs. He's a guy who can play in all situations, and he's a great Swiss Army knife. I think that there was also a guy, was it not Cousins? There was a player who signed a 7-year deal, very similar in Nashville. I think it was a Colton Sissons.
Tanev got one, didn't he, with Pittsburgh?
He got one too, but I think Colton Sissons got that 7-year where he was at like a 2.7 number. And I look at Nick Paul as a very similar player where, yeah, maybe his offense did struggle a little bit playing with Ottawa, but there's more guys to snap it around with and better players to play with in Tampa, at least as of now. I think this is an awesome deal for a big body who's going to be a utility guy for a long time, a great signing and a great trade where now it makes it all worth it based on what they gave up to get him at the deadline.
Biz, you are correct. Colton Sissons signed a 7-year, $20 million deal.
Well, what's the AAV come to?
2.857.
Oh, fuck. I was pretty close. Fuck, memory like an elephant, boys? I'm going to cross.
Don't forget about Sergachev down in Tampa Bay. He's going to fill right in for McDonagh. He deserves to play more. He played great in the playoffs. Much cheaper than McDonagh.
He's on the gas.
So you can't have everything. You had to get rid of somebody.
Cal Foot too.
Yeah, Biz, we had a pretty big monster trade as well. LA acquired Kevin Fiala from Minnesota for defensive prospect Brock Faber in LA's first round of this year. Then they in turn signed Fiala to a 7-year extension worth just over $55 million. Carries a cap hit of $7.875 million. He's got a no move for years 2 through 4 and a modified no trade clause from years 5 through 7. Billy Guerin had no concerns whatsoever about trading him to a Western Conference team. And I want to ask you, Biz, is this the trade that both teams can win at some point? I know we like to do win or lose, but it feels like when all is said and done, both teams might really benefit from this trade.
100%. In this situation, if you're Bill Guerin, you're just looking towards the future. So as far as trading them inside the conference, yeah, not ideal, but you're just looking for your biggest return. I think that from what I'm hearing, that is going to, Forsberg is probably going to land in that 8.5 range with Nashville. I love this move by LA. We know that their window, as far as having Kopitar and Doughty, they're in win now mode along with the young prospects they've had come in. You got that Byfield who could take another step next season. Now, all of a sudden, in the second half of the season, Fiala was running his own line. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He was very dominant. Look at his numbers in the closeout games of that season last year, where they were still battling for playoff position and they're playing in some pretty intense games. I think he's a world-class player. I think it's a great average for him. And he gets to move over to a team where they got other guys now too. They got the Dano. They're going to be a very, very good hockey team. And Rob Blake had to do something big, and he went out and did it. And I think that in a perfect world, Bill Guerin would have signed him and wanted to keep Fiala. But given the cap hell that they're up for in the next 2 years, they just need to be smart about managing their assets, collect as many draft picks as possible, draft well, and all of a sudden in years 3 and 4 from now, when they're coming out of that cap hell, they got, what would that be? I think that would be Kaprizov's last year of his 5-year deal. And then you got some other pieces around. So Billy G's got his hands full, just given the situation that he was put in. But I'll throw it over to you, Whit. I love the move for LA. I love Fiala as a player, and I think that we're going to see more of what we saw towards the end of the season, and maybe not so much of the disappearing act that was in playoffs.
Yeah, it's just something that had to be done. Like second in every category to Kaprizov in the entire season. Like it was just, he had a breakout year. I was reading an article that said when COVID originally came, before it paused the season in 2020. From February 1st to then, he had the most points in the league, or second most points in the league. So he's breaking out, little dip back last season, and then this season just explodes. But when you have what's happened with the buyouts of Ryan Suter and Parise, these are other things that are going to have to happen. We talked about them getting hammered by the cap. And so I think when you look now, Fiala is moving on because there was no chance they could pay him. Like it was like, why even mess around? This is what he's going to get. He signed it right away. But the Wild now, they got 2 first-round picks, and then this defenseman, he plays at Minnesota. So what a dream scenario for him. He gets traded to where he's playing in college, and then he's a homeboy, like a homegrown kid, and he's going to have a chance to play. I mean, he sounds like he's a very legit player from everything I'm reading and being told. So kind of a good deal for both sides. I think, R.A., you mentioned that. Another reason that you look at Minnesota and they like Boldy, Matt Boldy, this friggin' kid, Matt Boldy. I met him finally last week. He's a stallion. I mean, I got to say, the kid's fucking tall, handsome lad. He's probably one of the best golfers I've ever seen, hockey player golfers.
Come on, really?
Dude, This guy is a pure golfer. Beat me 2 days in a row. TPC, him and this Jack Rathbone took me and Kevin Hayes $600. Boldy's playing at a 1. He's hitting the ball 325 yards, and he's fucking making birdies, hitting it as pure as I've seen. Rathbone's a 6. He's hitting a 2-iron, 260. These two great kids, but Boldy.
Who the fuck hits a 2-iron?
Dude, no shit.
So
Boldy, whatever. Boldy's going to be a stud. He's going to make a lot of money. Hopefully, he's going to score a ton. You saw what he did when he came up. So I think just thinking of Boldy brought me to that fucking golf. And then I played Salem Country Club, and like I said, 100 individual score where you're in different groups. And I shot 75. And I came and he's like, I shot 73. I had to peel him another 100 the next day. I mean, whatever. Boldy will be good.
But he's going to be a guy who can step into that role. Now, hey, let's see if he can do it with the fucking cameras on the sandbagger, first of all. And speaking of man rockets, I mean, Fiala, we were just talking about it. The 1-2 punch of man missiles that they have in LA now with him and Kempe. There's going to flood warnings fucking half the amount of games, dude. They're not going to be able to play. The ice is going to be covered in water. Think of all those missile launchers with their fucking nipples out on the glass at the fucking, what is it called? The crypto.com now, Grinelli? The crypto.com.
Correct.
Yeah. They're going to be oozing on all the Instagram thoughts are going to be oozing on the glass. What do you make of the trade, RA? Do you like it for LA?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, they're a team that they were, like I said, 85-1 last year. They gave Edmonton a run for their money in the second round. If they ever beat them, who knows what could have happened. And this is a huge addition, man. I mean, yeah, they lost a good prospect the first round.
That was the first round.
Wait, didn't Didn't they? I thought they beat someone.
No, they lost to Edmonton first round in 7, but they had no Doughty.
Yeah, that's right. Either way, I liked what I saw out of them this year, and this is a huge addition. The money, I don't know. Did the money take you by surprise at all? With 7.875? Is that what you expect?
No. Once you throw a year up like he had this year, and it's his time to get paid, fuck, that's what you're getting paid now. You know, he's a young buck. He could skate like the wind. I mean, I wasn't surprised by any of it, really.
Yeah, they're going to have John Quick back. Doughty should be back healthy. And I looked at the odds. They're already down to 35-1 for the upcoming season. So it's not as much of a sleeper this year. But, yeah, as a pseudo Kings fan, I definitely like the move. Merles,
they got some good players, man. They got Kempe. They got him. They got Arvidsson.
Yeah.
Deneau, Kopitar. That Moore kid had a breakout season. Imagine Byfield takes that next step. Look out, LA.
Yeah.
Look out. You got a new team in town.
I have to load up a little bit more on him. Let's see. Another big sign of Vancouver signed Brock Boeser to a 3-year extension worth just under $20 million. Has a $6.65 million cap hit. He'll be UFA when the deal expires. Merles, was the money with him about what you expected, Brock Boeser?
Yeah, and I thought it was so. He's a guy that he could break out any one of these years and score 50 goals. The way he shoots the puck, he plays that right flank on the power play. I think it's a great signing. He's homegrown, so they've put in the money, developing and all that. So you had to keep him. He works well on that PP with Pettersson and the Mikey Granelli lookalike Quinn Hughes. Well,
you just said it, right? So he's a power play specialist. Maybe the knock early in his career is he's not able to generate as much 5-on-5 and maybe enough on his own. I love this deal for both sides. Our buddy gets paid. He's an unreal guy, loved in the locker room. You said he's got a world-class shot. So if he can maybe, figure out a way to be a little bit more dominant 5-on-5, he then will get that contract and at least be able to stay somewhere long term that we probably expected that he would get after his entry level contract. Like coming into the league, I want to say his rookie year, he just kind of took off. So everybody assumed he was going to end up taking that next step. But I think it's a great bridge deal. They get to figure out if he can become that player. They pay him a reasonable tag, and then they can maybe save a little bit of money to pay some other guys around him too. Because now that the rumblings of JT Miller is heading out of town.
Yeah, that's rumblings right now. I know the Rangers are getting mentioned, but nothing concrete on that. One thing to note on Boeser's contract, though, is he has no trade protection at all, not even a modified no trade clause. So, the next 3 years, if Vancouver still wanted to trade him, they'd have no problem doing it. It's easy
because you don't have the length of the contract, right? So obviously after year one, only 2 years, those mid-range deals, it's a little bit easier because people don't feel like they're stuck with them for all this time. You said that only rumblings right now. I'm hearing a rumbling that Montreal is putting in a major effort to try to get JT Miller over.
Think they pull it off?
Oh yeah. I guarantee you while we're on this podcast, something major is going to break. The rest of it, something might have already broken, but I don't go on my Twitter while we're recording because I'm a professional. Try it sometime.
So why do you like? Who told you this? Like
internet, Wit.
Oh well, you're so
fucking
stupid.
Interwebs.
Why do you believe the internet every time? The internet owns you.
Boys, buddy, come on, G, hop in here. Let him know.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
We're not the rumor boys.
The JT Miller rumors are swirling around Montreal right now.
So if he goes to Montreal, Biz is on it. The internet was on it. I'm surprised. I feel like Montreal should just be like, we need to get Connor Bedard. We need to get Connor Bedard. This year,
they still will.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, I guess if you look at like bringing a guy in, you're still going to struggle. You don't want to be too good. You never know.
Finish 15 points ahead of the Coyotes, second last, and they're going to pull another rabbit out of their ass because fucking Gary Bettman wants Montreal to win another cup.
No, because Bedard says I'm not going to play in a college rink, so just get me to the Habs.
Yeah, right. I'll bring him to Maya for one rip, and he'll be game on. I'll take him on a college visit. So we kind of hopped into the rumor mill. I'm also hearing Claude Giroux to 2 teams.
Ottawa
going home, and then somebody said Edmonton. Now, I might have been talking to Jeff, my buddy Jeff Jacobson, beauty, love him. He might have mentioned that he was listening to 32 Thoughts and heard that, and he also heard Jack Campbell and Toronto are so far apart on getting a deal done that Edmonton might be in the mix for Jack Campbell. Could you imagine that?
Wow.
With dog, you had to reposition yourself. What do you think of that?
I don't know if he's still walking those cats, dude. I don't know if I can get behind that as an Oiler guy. I love the guy as a player, but when he walked the cats, I think I tweeted, I never want him as my goalie. So I think that him being that far apart from Toronto isn't surprising because you have no money. Your team stinks and has zero room to work with anyone. So I don't think he'll be back there. I could be wrong. I am very often, but they got to pay the man.
I think
the guy's been through the battle of losing his game, finding his game, becoming a legitimate number one. He's got to get paid. You can't take a lowball offer at that point in your life and career if you're him.
I agree. I hope they just find some middle ground because I'd love to see him back in Toronto. Now, considering I had to shave my head because your Oilers fucking put a beat down on me, would you make a bet if Jack Campbell signs with the Oilers, you have to adopt a cat for a week? Like you just have to keep it until it finds a home?
Well, what if I win something? Like, how do I win this bet? That's like, what do I get out of that?
You got any signing predictions, Whit, you can make?
No, I really have nothing. Let me think on that, G. I need a banger by the end of this episode, and I need a possible scenario of a signing, and I'll get one to you. I
think now would be an appropriate time to take out the lotion and give Merles here a double wrister. Merles, you predicted a head coach being hired. How did you do that? Who do you know? Did you read the internet? Did the internet tell you?
You broke it.
I broke it. I was down at the Vegas pool again with the daughter, walking back home, get a call from Vegas of all places saying Monty has the job. Man, I'm antsy. I want to put this out there right away. Hey, I'm a real journalist now on the Spittin' Chiclets podcast. So I got to get a second source. All of a sudden I get a second call from Troy, New York, of all places. Yep, Monty's got it. Just the deal isn't signed yet. So I let it fly. And it was right. So my sources were correct.
So you had, once the second one came through, you said, I'm all in.
I'm on it. And I didn't get it from Monty. Monty's a good friend of mine. I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to be that guy trying to get scoops that way from him.
Yeah, right. Scoops,
I want to keep the friendship. And, it was just funny. I wasn't out looking for it. It just happened to fall my way.
Jesus. What's your heart rate right now, Merles? You're at like a 40 beats per minute. You're pretty chill.
Me?
Yeah, you got a 30 milligram edible in you or something?
No, I had one IPA and then I went and I grabbed the second one out of the fridge and it was a non-alcoholic one. So
I feel like after the disaster weekend you've had with the chicken pox, this is probably just exactly what you needed.
Yeah.
It's like a little therapy for you, man.
Nice little alone time here, 10:40 p.m. Sun is still up.
Hey, Biz, you mentioned Claude Giroux. I think a team to keep an eye on with Giroux, Carolina. I've been hearing some Carolina Hurricanes Claude Giroux buzz in the rumor mill.
Okay, I like Giroux.
Gee, what are you hearing on the Jersey Shore about Johnny Hockey?
A lot of people were saying Johnny Hockey to the Devils. Well, I went down there thinking it's going to be John. I know. Thinking that I'm going to hear Johnny Hockey to Philly, but everybody at DJ's was persistent. Johnny Hockey is signing with the Devils.
Wow, that makes so much more sense too, because they have a lot of those little skill players. So they build that, and I don't know how much money Philly even has. I think they would have to figure something out. I think
Philly has a decent amount of dough.
Do they?
They do, yeah. I can't. He would go to the Devils? That could just be a bunch of people at DJ's just buckled diehard Devils fans like Putty from Seinfeld, just basically hoping that he's going to go there, telling you and giving you shots of Pink Whitney that it's a done deal. G.
So the Devils have $25 million in projected cap space right now. They could give Johnny Hockey the bag. Bring the Jersey boy back home.
Yeah. Would that be taking a shit on Philly if he signs like not too far away? And I guess I wouldn't consider them a rival. I never look at Philly and New Jersey as rivals. What is that accurate, RA?
Today they on years back, 20 years ago, they definitely were rivals. They were going neck and neck to try to get to the Stanley Cup back
when Stevens hit Lindros. Yeah. I'll never forget that game and that series. Those teams hated each other.
Yeah, Philly blew that 3-1 lead. I think it was 2000. It was so.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the Gomez's first cup, I believe.
Yeah. Talk was on that team. He's talked about that series quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
What did Philadelphia have in cap space? I don't know if you could check that out while we keep moving on, RA. I don't know if there's anything that you kind of saw popping up on the interwebs or that you've been hearing about potential signings or trade rumors, RA.
I haven't heard too many rumors. I did hear Johnny Hockey does want to definitely play in the Northeast somewhere, so I guess that can entail, I don't know, Washington's really not Northeast, but I guess from New Jersey up, New Jersey, Philly, the New York teams, Boston. And Boston doesn't really have the cap space. They would have to move somebody. But he did play for Jim Montgomery back in the USHL. They won a title way back when. So, I think Monty's the type of guy who is a draw for players, too. Like, when guys find out he's there, some coaches are like, yeah, man, I ain't signing there. But when Monty's a coach, guys may be more likely to sign there. Just throwing that out there. The Bruins, like I said, they don't have the cap space to sign him. They would have to get rid of somebody. They have Pasta to do. So I don't think Boston will be the team, but it's going to be somewhere in the Northeast, I would highly suspect.
And Calgary, go ahead. Sorry, Whit.
Oh, no, I was going to just say, I was just thinking about around the league. The other one I'm just so interested in is the Penguins, Letang, Malkin situation.
Oh, yeah.
And that one's like, wow, like, is there a chance these guys are moving on? So there's, Biz, you said it best. The season ends and boom, you have all this action leading up to the drafted free agency. It's pretty crazy in terms of like staying up to date right now.
When I close my eyes, I just simply cannot picture Malkin or Letang in any other jersey in the NHL. It would look
those three, I know, just Penguins.
It would just look so weird. Now, going back to Johnny Gaudreau, if I had to guess, I would say that it's 100% that he is leaving. Now, Calgary mentioned that, they don't seem that life after Johnny Hockey is going to be that bad. They think that they're going to be able to fill some holes. And, then all of a sudden you can snap that money around maybe even to a few guys. But, maybe that's also them just kind of playing the PR thing where, what else are you going to say?
Biz, Philly only has $5 million in projected cap space for next season, so they would definitely have to move some money around. Not for Gaudreau, but one team I could definitely see making a lot of moves here: the Seattle Kraken. They've stockpiled picks, they've stockpiled money. I could see them doing like a Kadri Klinberg kind of thing. I definitely think they make some big moves this summer.
Hopefully, then we can actually go out there because last year they were pathetic and they were boring to watch.